And this is Lyons Reads. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is December 2021, and I'm coming at you with an end of the year 5 gayest books I read this year video. So I thought a big part of my channel is talking about queer representation in sci-fi and fantasy books, so it's only fitting that I talk about the gayest books that I read this year. If you've been following me, you know I don't only read gay content or LGBTQ plus content, but that is a large part of what I am trying to read. And a large part of what I like to talk about here on this channel is just getting recognition for those books, because sometimes they can be hard to find, especially if the representation isn't a large part of the plot. But I'm here for even minor LGBTQ representation in side characters or like B plots, whatever. If there's something gay in a book, I want to know about it, and I want to try to read that and see if it's good. Because it doesn't have to be a major part of the book in order to enrich the representation that we've been given in the landscape, right? So I just wanted to let you guys know my favorites of this year. I had a top 10 video as well for the top 10 reads of 2021. And in that one, there were a couple of LGBT series, as well as A Chorus of Dragons, which won my favorite fantasy series of the year, and the gayest series that I read all year. That one's going to be on this list, but also a couple of others that might not have made the top 10 list. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Number 1 is going to be The Tarot Card Sequence by K.D. Edwards. Alright, if you don't know about the Tarot Card Sequence, it is a urban fantasy series from K.D. Edwards about a new Atlantis in a new Atlantis city-state, basically, in the northeastern United States, or off the coast of the northeastern United States. And it is about the last son of the House of the Sun, who is basically like a demigod, a demigod of Atlantis. Rune, and Rune is gay. He's very gay. He is in a male-male relationship in the series, and there are other queer characters as well. It's just a very queer world that they live in, a very like kind of pansexual, bisexual world, and that's on full display in K.D. Edwards' world building and his writing. And I just love the relationship between Rune and his love interest as well. It's very wholesome, and it's very, like, non-toxic. You know, so much of the time, especially in fantasy series, we see toxic relationships, and even though those relationships can sometimes improve, I think it's nice to just see one that is positive sort of from the get-go, and it's just something to strive for, and it's good to see that sort of representation, especially for gay individuals. So I can't recommend it highly enough. It's a super fun series. It's got a lot of detective vibes. You know, he's like a private detective / mercenary. It's action-packed and full of magic and spells and mythical creatures. It's super cool. It's super gay. Gotta love it. The first book in that series is called The Last Son. The second book is called The Hanged Man. And there are a couple of novellas and short stories in between that you can check out as well. Number 2 is going to be A Chorus of Dragons series by Jenn Lyons. Of course, I talked about this in my top 10 reads of 2021. The first book in that series is going to be A Ruin of Kings, followed by The Name of All Things, A Memory of Souls, and lastly, most recently, The House of Always. Now, this series is not complete. There is at least one other book coming out, making for 5 in total, as far as I know. But this whole series is gay, y'all. Like, every character in it is on the LGBTQ list somewhere. There are bi characters, there are poly characters, pansexual characters, there are ace characters, there are gender fluid characters. Like, there's everything you could want in this series is there, and it's part of the world building, right? So it's not strange. There's not really any homophobia, at least none that I can remember. They're really big books, so it's a lot to remember, but I don't remember there being any homophobia. It's pretty normal. But it's just so much fun and so, like, fulfilling to see this kind of representation just built casually into this world. The main relationship in the series is a poly relationship between a pansexual, a bi man, and I think a bi woman, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that. But it's fantastic. It won my favorite LGBTQ book of the year, series of the year, and I can't recommend it highly enough. I talk a little bit more about it in my top 10 reads of 2021 video, if you want to know more about that series in general. But the thing you need to know about it for this video is that it's super gay and there's lots of representation there for everybody. Oh, also there are dragons. So, next is You Sexy Thing, and that's going to be by Cat Rambo. That was a late release this year. It came out in November. It is a sci-fi space opera adventure about a ragtag crew of old soldiers that go on this kind of... in some ways, they're kidnapped by a spaceship, and in others, they go on a rescue mission to defeat a bunch of pirates and rescue an old lover. So it really just depends on how you choose to look at it. But it's a ragtag group of, like, found family. It's an interspecies crew, which is something I really like. And there are queer characters involved, queer relationships, interspecies relationships. The main character, like the leader of the crew, is a queer woman who has relationships with other women. And it was a fun book to read. It felt like, it's definitely the first of a series, I think. And it felt a little bit like a prequel. Like, it was the first of a series, but it felt like it was mostly build up for something else. So I did have some issues with the book, but overall, it was a lot of fun to read. I really was interested in the world the author was building, and I liked the characters and their dynamics a lot. I would say it's a good book for fans of Becky Chambers, and of course that comes with a lot of queer rep as well. So I think it's a good fit for that. Again, that's You Sexy Thing by Cat Rambo, one of the gayest books I read this year. A lot of gay going on in that book. Next is going to be, speaking of Becky Chambers, To Be Taught If Fortunate. And that is a sci-fi novella by Becky Chambers. It's a little bit of a space exploration story. So it kind of takes place in our world. Well, a team of scientists, astronauts, leave our world in search of a planet that can sustain human life. So you're getting a little bit of an Interstellar vibe there, if anyone's seen that movie. It's kind of like Interstellar, where they're going and they're stopping at different planets to do scientific research to see if it's possible to terraform or if it would be possible to sustain human life on these planets. But it's just a very quiet, more reserved version of that, without all the urgency of, like, the Earth being destroyed. Because this team of scientists, they never expect to return to Earth, because the trip is so long. So they have to send back their research back to Earth for future generations, because they don't expect to make it home. And there is a queer relationship. There are a couple of queer characters. I believe there's an ace character, a trans character, and then the main character is pansexual? I'm not sure. But it's a genre called hope punk, which is what Becky Chambers writes in general. It's a pretty quick read. I think it was almost like a little under 200 pages, and I really enjoyed it. So I recommend that one. It's got the queer rep, but the sci-fi is just really great to read. It's that very science-y kind of sci-fi, which I enjoy. So if you're into that sort of thing, I would definitely check it out. Last but not least is going to be another sci-fi book, and that is Seven Devils, and that is by Elizabeth Lamb and Melinda. I don't know why I'm looking. I read it on audiobook. I'm sorry, I can't remember the other author's name. I'll have to put it here on the screen. But Seven Devils is what I thought was a YA novel, and that is not true. So if you think that, let me help you out. It is not a YA novel. It is probably like new adult or just adult. Most of the characters in it are adults, and there is like adult content, you know, sexuality, sex scenes, sexual content, whatever. Put a trigger warning there. But yeah, I wouldn't call it YA, even though the cover makes it look kind of YA. It's really good. Again, you got found family. It's a powerful team of women that are sort of thrown together through unfortunate circumstances, and they have to fight against this oppressive empire that they've all been kind of ensnared in. There is a female-female relationship. I think all of the characters are like into women. Is sort of, that's the vibe I got, is that they were into women. But the female-female relationship is between two characters I didn't expect it to be, and that's really enjoyable. It's very sensual and sweet. There is a character that I think is Ace. I can't confirm that, but I suspect that they're Ace. And this book is the first in a series. So found family vibes, space opera, revolution, women kicking ass. It was just really good. And I didn't have high expectations for this book, but it came out of nowhere and surprised me with all the queer elements and the found family vibes. And I would recommend that one. So that is going to wrap it up. Those are the 5 gayest books I read this year. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you've read any of these and enjoyed it, please let me know. If you have any other recommendations of your 5 gayest books of the year, I would love to hear them, especially if I haven't read them yet. I'm always looking for more gay SFF books. So that's going to wrap up my list, and I think this is going to be my last video of the year. Why not end the video on this topic? Why not end the year on this topic, right? So I'll be back in 2022 with my stats for this year, and of course with a probably Christmas book haul, and a little bit of a yearly goals and TBRs, right? Yeah, I think this is a good note to end it on. You guys have happy holidays, have a happy new year, stay safe, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Goodbye.